enterprise software, sales, enterprise architecture, and customer relationship management. He is a strong engineering professional and leads by example and has a strong communication skills that foster excellent teaming. Please welcome him.
That was very nice. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Nice to meet you here today. And actually, my privilege to speak to you. So I've got, so just a little bit about my background. I know she gave me a quick introduction, but I want you to know a couple of things. One is I actually grew up right here. So I grew up in Placentia. So I went to elementary school there, junior high, and then I went to high school at El Dorado High School. And then my parents moved. And in those days, this is a little bit earlier, but it's important for you to know, my family was one of the first, Sanas as well. We're one of the first 25 families here in Southern California. We used to pray out of a small garage in Fullerton. And from that garage, we got the Garden Grove, and, alhamdulillah, everything has gone well. But so I'm one of those young kids who was born in Pakistan. And then my parents moved everywhere around the world. Eventually, we ended up here, and we got. Sana will tell you, we used to get. Our parents were terrific. We got a choice when we went to college. You could either be a doctor or you could be an engineer. So it was just wide open, and you could pick which kind of. If your parents were super nice, you could pick which kind of engineering, or which kind of medicine. So I wanted to be a lawyer, but. That was not in the books. So let me tell you about, so I went to university, and then I've worked in a couple of different companies. I worked at a smaller company coming out of college as an application engineer. If any of you own a Honda Accord from the 90s, I did the brake system for that. I did, if you had Isomil or Similac, I did the control system for Abbott Labs in those days. So I used to be a real engineer. And then I've gone into management in a variety of different areas, product, and I'll go through some of the things that would be important for you as you look at your career moving forward. So product development, software. I've also taken it as a responsibility to mentor a lot of our kids. So I'm very proud to say some of the kids that I've mentored, both girls and boys, young women and young men, have come through university now. They've been able to pick different careers. And I've also spent the last 15 years going to speak to elementary school kids and junior high kids. And I implore upon them to consider math and science as careers, especially the young women, because not enough of you go into math and science, even though you're really much smarter at it than we are, to be honest. Girls mature faster, and then they're able to grasp the concepts earlier and are able to go. And I'll talk about that as we move forward too. So let's make this informal. Just ask me. You don't have to raise your hand. Just speak up and ask me a question. And then when I'm done, my email is on here. And of course, Sana Uncle knows me very well. We've known each other for 40 years. So if you need to get a hold of me, you need to ask me questions. I went to...
Not his uncle. He meant like for you guys.
Yeah, for you guys. Yeah. I don't call him uncle anymore. All right. Yeah. I could call you, no, never mind. We go down a different path there. All right, so let me get going, and then you guys interrupt me. What I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna talk a little bit about technology. I'm gonna explain to you why cognitive, you'll hear that term moving forward, why artificial intelligence, I'm sure you've heard that to death. But not just AI, I'll talk about technology and what jobs and roles are opening up in technology over the next 10 years. I'll also give you an indication of what are the salaries, what are the skills you need. So it's not just going to school and getting an engineering degree. You need to do a few other things. And to have not just a job, but a career, some of the soft skills that you need to have when you progress forward and you make this something you want to do. So we'll go over what's cognitive in AI. I'll give you an explanation. I'll talk to you about what's happening in artificial intelligence and technology in the industry as a whole. Why is blockchain important? Why is quantum computing important? Why has security become such a huge part of everything that we do now? And then I'll go over I talked about some of the skills, some of the jobs, and I have a demo if we have a little bit of time at the end, okay? And like I said, please feel free to interrupt me. There's no bad questions. The one thing that you need to understand as we move forward, and I did this in a lot of the presentations that I talk about, is for everything technology related, it's about the data. When you have your phone, you hear a lot about all these things, whether you're using Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. You can go down the list of stuff. And by the way, I use all of that stuff. Data is collected. When you go for a hospital checkup and your blood pressure is taken, when you're having your insurance done, that information is collected. When you sign up to win a lottery, that data is collected. When you go to a website and schedule your next maintenance, that data is collected. There is terabytes of data collected, okay? There's also data collected when you go and get your car repaired, for example, and the guy writes it down on a piece of paper. That's called unstructured data. So structured data is what's collected in these large databases, and whether it's Oracle, Microsoft's SQL Server, whether it's DB2, there's a lot of different databases that have collected this. What they do is they put it, a lot of the big companies gather that data and they put it in something called a data lake. And don't worry about all these terms, you don't need to know any of these terms. But from that, consider that as you would a lake, you can go and fish for what you want. Now, what you do with that data is what companies are trying to do now is extract value from that data. So, whether it's an airplane, a car, or anything that you do, that data, then they try to come back and sell to you. Has anybody ever gone on, let's see, you guys are most Safari or Firefox or any of the browsers and said, hey, I'm looking for a camera, right? Now you come back 2 days later and you're looking for roses, and up on the top right-hand side, there's an ad for a camera, okay? That's artificial intelligence, okay? So they're learning from what you're doing, whether it's cookies on the browser, it's something else, they're figuring out what you're doing, and then they're using that information to do more with it. So you get, I won't read the charts, you guys can read the charts, but it's, 80% of the data is locked, and we're trying to get that out. And part of what you do in your career moving forward is going to be either preparation of that data, which takes a lot of time, because just because it's there doesn't mean it's usable. But once it's there, the first step is gathering it. The second step is preparing it. The third step is doing something with it, okay? Hey, can you guys hear me okay with or without the microphone? I feel like I'm leaning forward a lot. Okay. All right. Now, this gives you an idea. This is a chart of how enterprises move. So what is your company doing when they look at the data? Are they doing cost reduction, which just about everybody is looking at? Is it modernization? Am I taking that data and I'm trying to get value out of it? Am I trying to use that data to do something more productive within the company? And then what kind of analytics do I want to do with that data? So there's a lot of companies out there, and that's a viable career for you, which is data analytics. So I'll talk about data science and data scientists as careers, but data managers and data analytics as careers too. Every single company has some kind of an analytics data. The NFL uses analytics to determine what players are going to get hurt when. They use it, what plays are working best. So I don't know if anybody is an NFL fan, but you can go down the list. Tennis. A lot of these companies, everybody has realized the value of analytics. Yes?
What about AI? You basically, instead of a human engineer talking about data analytics and setting up data structure, are we going to get to a point where we simply would ask the computer, say, listen, I need to know X, Y, Z, and it itself actually will give you...
Yeah, you can do that to some extent now, right? And it's in its early infancy. So there are different metrics you can do, and that's part of this cognitive, the next thing that I'll talk about. But to answer your question, yeah, you will reach a point where you'll be able to use simple language and speak to a computer using natural language processing. That's what it is. Some of your cars now allow you to tell it to change the temperature or change the radio station. That natural language processing you'll be able to use with a computer, but to be very specific about the type of analytics. Look at this time period and let me know X, Y, and Z within that time period. And the more finite the parameters you do give it, the better it can do. And then you'll have to give it a data source or give me everything. And the more data sources it has, the better it can do. And there's a lot of supercomputers that are able to do it now. So one of the things around AI, what's the, excuse the term, but what's the holy grail of AI, right? What is the big thing with artificial intelligence that if one of you was able to do, you would be, really, really successful in life? So they haven't been able to do this yet, but artificial intelligence is using machine learning or deep learning to not just program using computer language to let it to do a bunch of functions, but to learn from itself. So not just to be able to do what you've asked it to do, but also to code on itself and be able to tell itself, okay, I found these patterns. So as you go through life, part of artificial intelligence is patterns. It looks for patterns. So it'll be able to take those patterns and then build on those patterns and write on those patterns. So the holy grail is for a computer to be able to do that on its own. Now, why isn't this just expanding? Why isn't everybody spending billions and billions and billions of dollars and creating artificial intelligence systems and making it a core of their system? Because part of what they're finding in these early years is that as they do learn, as these systems learn, they don't always learn the thing we want them to learn. They're smarter, they're picking up patterns, and they're deducing things and coming up with conclusions that maybe we don't want them to come up with. Maybe they're solving a problem we don't want solved, okay? So that's part of what's coming up, but the holy grail or the key thing that they're working on now is to be able to code and be able to have artificial intelligence systems that learn, program themselves, and then continue to do that in a way that progresses us much faster. And so you'll hear me talk about quantum computing. That's a different kind of computers that you have ever seen in your life. In fact, if I showed you a picture of one, you'd look at it and go, Saeed, or Saeed uncle, this looks like a chandelier. When you look at it, it has to do with physics and optimization. So you've heard of everything being bits and bytes, right? Zeros and ones when something's on or off. So the whole core of our computer industry is around transistors. The bit is either on or it's off. So when in physics, I won't go too deep, I promise. That was one of the things I did in college was physics. But in quantum computing, so that bit is spinning and it spins really fast. So when it can be in a steady state, but it's at 250 degrees below zero. So it has to be so incredibly cold to catch it in the right state. But that is, the right term is quantum. You'll be able to do computing that has never been done in the past. They're looking at everything we know about cyber security will be useless. A quantum computer will be able to go through all our cybersecurity instances, okay? Google's working on it, IBM's working on it. There's a handful of companies, but that's a career for you. If you enter into that career, you will be unique and in a niche career, and you will be somebody pretty outstanding. Let me move on because I'm going to run out of time. I could talk to you guys for hours. But this is the core. When you look up there, cognitive systems have the ability to understand. So not just understand databases, but understand unstructured notes. So let's say I had let me use an example of, God forbid, an airplane crashed or something like that, right? And you wanted to do a root case analysis and find out why it happened. You went to the black box and you got some structured data. You looked at all the film and the video. And then as you looked at the parts, people took a lot of notes, and that's what they used to do over the years. And you did this over time. All those notes are unstructured data. What do you do with that? Well, you took a picture of it. Great, now I can take a picture of it, but what else can you do with it? So cognitive systems have the ability to take not just structured data, but unstructured data. And that unstructured data could be video, that unstructured data could be notes, that unstructured data could be a picture, that could be a drawing, and be able to conclude something from that. They also have to have the ability to reason. Well, what does that mean? Does it mean anything? Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Why are you going to count something that doesn't mean anything? So you have to be able to reason, you have to be able to learn, and then, as Sana said, you have to be able to interact with these systems, right? It's useless if it's just a computer and you're looking at a website or something like that, and great, you got some data. But I should be able to talk to it, I should be able to learn from it. It should be able to talk to me and tell me what's going on, okay? That's a lot of writing. I didn't realize it's gonna be so much. Let me go over a couple of examples. I won't go over but this is AI. And so this is another important soft skill that I failed at that I want you to know about, okay? So when you present to a large audience, you want to limit everything to what number? How many things should be up there? Give me a number. 3. Everybody knows that's the right number. Do I have more than 3? I have way more than 3. But yeah, you want to present in 3s. You want to speak in 3s. You want to present in 3s. That's what the brain can grasp in any given time. So, but I had so much data, I took the liberty of throwing it up there like spaghetti on a wall, right? So one quick example around AI, and this is something I worked on actually it's been 4 years ago. So I'll give you an example what happens, right? So let's say you're at, I don't know what you got, soccer, basketball, lacrosse, you're at practice. So you call your mom and say, can you come pick me up? I'm not at school, I'm at the park. I'm at this park. Mom says, okay. She gets in the car and she gets in the car. She looks up at the mirror and adjusts the mirror. The mirror has a camera, okay? So just stay with me. And this can be done right now. The mirror has a camera. The mirror identifies your mom versus the other 3 drivers in the vehicle. She knows that your mom prefers it to be a little warmer, so it's at 74 degrees, not the 70 that you prefer. Puts it at 74. Knows that your mom likes to listen to 80s music and puts it on 101 versus 105.9 because you guys all love J. Cole. So it'll go to 100 for her. It starts putting in, your mom says, directions to the park. The car can look at the directions and actually look at GPS, which is no big deal. We've all had GPS. But it also goes out and looks at Twitter and sees if there's any issues. And it notices that her friends who are already at the park to pick up one of their kids, somebody tweeted out that the practice is running late. So then the car lets her know that the practice is running late and says, do we want to pick up dinner before we go get Selma? I'll pick a number, somebody's name, right? Routes the route, checks Twitter, is heading on the way over there, checks traffic, and then says, what do you want to eat? So she says, well, I like, I don't know, the girls might like pizza. So it finds a place, and it's already got her credit card for e-commerce. It's called e-commerce. And it puts up a menu on the screen. From the screen, it's able to let her pick. She can say, I want the following 3 items. Those items are ordered. How many people have noticed if you go to McDonald's or some of these restaurants, now they have 3 parking slots for mobile people, right? You can order mobile, show up at that spot, you've already paid for the food, and the food's waiting, and somebody comes out and hands it to you, all right? These are the simple things that AI will do. It'll also learn that you tend to like pizza more than you like seafood, so it'll give you more pizza places. It'll also turn to learn a lot of those types of things. So that's one example. Manufacturing is another. Manufacturing's huge. We've got Boeing, Northrop, Raytheon. We've got a lot of different manufacturing companies around. The number of robots that are out there is growing at an enormous leap. Robots used to be able to just go out there, move, weld something, and move away. Now we've got robots in concert. So if if one of you came out to see how one of the new Jeeps is made, or a Land Rover, even a Tesla, right? There are robots that work in concert doing multiple things at the same time, and they're able to do it faster, and they're able to eliminate human jobs. So one of the things that I was asked to do was to tell you about jobs that are going away. Repetitive jobs are going away. Jobs where, whether that's in a hospital or that's on a factory floor, but AI is going to take a lot of those jobs away because it's not just technology, it's being able to learn and do it better. Healthcare is one thing. Media, it can get, all books are digitized. And if any of you've gone to the Apple store, you'll see there's 300 books already digitized for you for free that you can go and get. I'll skip through some of these things because I want to get to the jobs. Sustainability, the number of money being put in. So Elon Musk has put in, $1 billion. You've got people putting in, from Bill Gates to everybody else. Every single company, my company puts in about $4 to $6 billion a year in R&D to develop new patents. And a lot of those patents are now in artificial intelligence, okay? So let's skip ahead. What are they doing? You're able to predict and shape the outcome. If you were able to predict an outcome, wouldn't you be able to do it? You're able to optimize work for people, so people who come to the cubicles every day, if I could be more productive and tell you what to do and how you should do it, that would be of value to you, right? That's an eye chart, but the key thing that I want you to take out of that, and this is a very important chart, so if you guys can just look at the chart for a second, these are the technologies that are going to be important to your career as you move forward. So recommendation engines, I talked about predictive analytics. So analytics, what if I could tell you a month ahead of time that you were going to have a failure with one of the rims on your car, or that your engine light was going to come on 8 days from now and you're actually having a slower flow in one of the fuel injections and that fuel injections? Would you like to have the time to be able to schedule that appointment 3 weeks ahead? So that's a quick example. Deep learning, machine learning, I talked about natural language processing, but what they're really working on now is that customer experience, using AI to be able to engage with each of you, okay? Let me go here. All right, so let's get to one of the reasons you're actually in the room, is what skills, what should I be doing right now? What skills should I be, what jobs are going to be important? So the top, when you look at soft skills, creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence, okay? So emotional intelligence is becoming more and more in the business world. So you hear all these jokes about nerds and they're coming in, and we've seen Mr. Spock, well, this side of the room in the middle knows who Mr. Spock is. You guys maybe not, but you have to be able, when you're working, to understand, have some empathy towards the people that you're working with, and understand what they're doing and how they're doing. If somebody is wrong, telling them they're wrong isn't necessarily the right answer. How you tell them they're wrong and what they should do about it is important. And those are going to be good interview skills that you should have. You should be able to be, look at, when we look at hard skills, right? So this doesn't mean you're going to go to, I don't know, are you guys in high school? Are you in college? How many people in high school? Nobody's in high school. Interesting. One, two, okay. How many people in college? Okay, so all right, so then I'm at the right audience level. So you may not have a class in blockchain, but 4 years ago, my son was interviewing with JP Morgan, and it's finance. It has very little to do with technology, but every single industry has something to do with technology. In that interview, I talked to him about blockchain and what blockchain has to do with cybersecurity. And it took up 15 minutes of his interview, because nobody else they interviewed with really talked about blockchain, okay? So go Google it, go understand it. Bitcoin will pop up. Ignore the Bitcoin stuff and try to understand. But at a very base minimum, and Uncle Amir's in the back, who is an expert in blockchain, so you can talk to him too. But around blockchain, it is a verified security way to communicate between systems, right? So if I'm sending a purchase order, if I'm receiving an invoice, if I'm sending you data, if we're all part of the same network, we're in a verified secure network. Now, what can you do with that? You can do a ton with that. So blockchain is one. Cloud computing. How many people have heard the word cloud? Go ahead, come on, don't be shy. I can't see you if you're down here. Get up here. All right. What is cloud? It's somebody else's computer. That's what cloud is, right? We had client server, we had all these other technologies. So Microsoft has a great cloud. Amazon has an even better cloud. IBM has a cloud. Every single Chinese company, Baba, has a cloud, right? They're a wide company. Almost a lot of what you do on the web is something happening on someone else's server or servers. And you can debate the security, and you can debate what you want to do and how long that data will live there. But that's not going away for the near future. So the companies that are doing well, Microsoft stock has gone from $35 a share, 5 years ago, to $180 a share. And it's not grown because Windows is so awesome. It's grown because cloud computing. It's going to grow even more because they won the JEDI contract, which is $10 billion with the government, right? So get familiar with cloud as you interview. There's a lot of jobs in cloud administration. And then within cloud, it's not really up here, but this is a funny word you need to know about. It's called Kubernetes, okay? Kubernetes is to be able to do things in Dockers. So when you do things in clouds, think of them as packages within the cloud. And you're putting everything in your data within that package. And that may be running on open source like Red Hat's OpenShift or Pivotal. It can run a lot of technologies, but focus on blockchain, focus on Kubernetes for the cloud, focus on analytics. So a lot of these things are up here. You can't really go and get an artificial intelligence job. There's no such thing as a AI job. AI is a technology you will use in many different capacities as you do your job. But these are some of the skills. You see sales is up there, business analytics is up there, scientific computing is up there. Why is sales up there? So a lot of different companies, I'm an engineer, right? So I have a degree in physics, I have a degree in engineering, but I primarily work on sales. Okay, think about every single company. Think of a company. Think of any company in your mind. All right, just pick one. Coca-Cola, a healthcare company, Toyota. Pick something. Now, ask yourself, do they sell something? They all sell something. Everybody's in business because they're selling something. They're selling you a service. They're selling you a product. They're selling you something. And if they're selling you something, they need to have a sales department. And the more complex it is, the higher degree of difficulty that they need for technical salespeople, that people who can explain to their client. They're not buying a used car. They're buying a complicated robot that's going to do surgery. They're buying a complex analytics system that's going to allow them to figure out what 8% of their customers that they don't have now actually like to buy, okay? So sales is not a four-letter word, okay? Get familiar with it. The first company that I worked for, the president of the company came to me once. I was on the engineering side of it, and he goes, hey, you're doing really good. You're going to be a really great engineer. But let me ask you something. How many engineers live on golf courses? And I said, I don't know. And he said, very few. You know who lives on golf courses? Doctors, business owners, and people in sales. So all these company owners are in sales. So look at that as a career as part of your technology path. You may not start there, but that'll be part of the career as you look forward. Let me move forward to what else you should be doing. And then I've got another chart on salaries, okay? Becoming an entrepreneur. So one of the kids that I mentor, he's just graduated from a top 10 school, so he's a really bright young kid, young man. He's got an engineering degree, he's really smart, he's working on a variety of different things, but in his heart of heart, he wants to be an entrepreneur, okay? What does being an entrepreneur mean? It can mean starting something brand new on your own. Most entrepreneurs don't start there. You go work for somebody, you learn some skills, and then you can become an entrepreneur. One of my brother-in-laws, he went to just a liberal arts school, did his math degree. Then he went to Columbia, and he couldn't find a job because he had a degree in mathematics. Then he went to work for Boeing, and he ended up in their fiber optics department, and he was bored out of his mind. Got hired by Sprint, the phone company. And then from there, he went to Silicon Valley and worked for Cisco for a year, and then he learned about fiber optics. And then 3 of his buddies got together, and they started a small company, and 3 years later, he sold it for $2.4 billion, okay? But did he start as an entrepreneur? No, he started at Boeing. Then he went to, so he learned his skills in a variety of different ways, and he found something he was good at, and then he found a niche, and then he partnered with people, and they had to go get funding, and they did a lot. So I watched that whole process. So think about being an entrepreneur. You may not want to do that immediately, but you may be doing that later. Small and mid-sized companies are fantastic. I started at a small company, and I was given a lot of freedom to go do whatever I want. My ideas were valued, and I was able to use my technical skills to build in that company. So don't just think, oh, I've got to go work for a big company. Think about small and medium-sized companies and what you want to do and the skills you'll learn, the freedom you'll have in that company, and the responsibility that you'll gain, okay? I talked about cloud software development. There's a handful of people in this room that can actually do software development. You may have taken a Python class, you may have taken a Java, you may know C++, you may be really good at Swift, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a software development. So all companies also have, I talked about sales, they usually have a product development and an engineering company. So when you go work for those companies in product development and agile development, you need skills in being able to do software development. That is a lonely job, and it's a job where you work all hours, you have a lot of freedom, but the people who do that make a lot of money, but you have to have a certain internal drive to do that, but that is a valuable career. Hardware engineering is another, Intel, and other companies, AMD stock went from $19 a share to $55. People are still buying chips. So when you have a phone or anything, your fridge comes with a chip in it now, right? Your car comes with 38 to 60 chips now. So those things are going on. Those are great jobs. Open source. When you move forward over the next 5 years, it's going to be less and less and less proprietary hardware, proprietary software. They're going to go out and do, what is open source? Open source is software that's out in the marketplace that you can go either get for free or is worked on by a wide variety of people and then left for everybody to use. There is a lot of danger to doing it that way too, but there's a lot of huge benefits because now you're using something everybody else is using and there's a community using that. So getting open source skills, getting certification in the different variety products that are out there. Red Hat is a company you should know about. So how am I doing on time? I think I'm running late. Okay, so let me do a few more minutes because I think it's important. Communication, okay? You don't know how many people I've hired over the years where their resume looked good, they came in, God, they thought they were brilliant. And they came in and I couldn't get them to present in front of 5 people, right? They were great in their own mind. They were great on paper. When they sent me an email, I got a paragraph when I wanted 2 sentences. Learn to communicate. And don't just communicate for the people that you know. Go find new people. Start to talk to people when you're in the grocery store. Get in the habit of communicating with everybody. When you're talking to somebody at Costco, say hello and start up a conversation about something. Learn how to communicate with people because that is a skill you're going to need all throughout your career. Get to know people. This is a great networking event. There are other networking events. But I find as a community, if I asked you how many non-Muslim friends you have, maybe less than 5, right? It's not about the religion. It's about expanding your network and getting to know people, right? I don't care about what religion they are, but if you're going to succeed in life, you may talk to your neighbor, but then why don't you have other friends, right? You may know a couple people at school. So you need to expand your network, and that's very important as you grow through life. There are people I know now that I knew from 25 years ago, and actually it's longer than that in high school. You never know when somebody comes to your help, but you need to be able to communicate. Read, read, read. And I don't mean read your phone. I mean read a frickin' book. Go and look at every single major. I caught myself there, Sana. I caught myself. Yeah, but it's all about reading books. Go ask Bill Gates, go ask Bezos, go ask Elon Musk, go ask Warren Buffett, go ask anybody who is successful in life. They read at least 1 to 5 hours a week, okay? And that means allocate time on your calendar and find something to read. I don't care what you're gonna read, find time. If you can't do that, hey, console yourself that you're going to be an average person the rest of your life, okay? That's the hard fact. If you're happy being a C+ average person, hey, that's fine with me. But otherwise, read, read, read. The next thing is write, 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 okay? Writing skills. I wrote a couple of briefings last year for the CEO of my company, okay? The CEO of my company has a bonus of $30 million. She's a brilliant woman, okay? Our executives, we have female executives, I'll get to that in a second, who are brilliant. How did they get there? They got there by reading, they got there by writing, but the other thing that they got there with is being brief and to the point. So I had to write a briefing for this CEO, and I did all my work, I checked everything, and I came up with 2 pages. And I sent it to her EA, who's, you know, their assistants are vice presidents, okay? She sent it back to me and she said, you know, basically, WTF, right? You want the CEO of the company to memorize 2 pages that you thought were good? What is this crap? And I took those 2 pages and then worked with one of our senior executives, and I got that down to 4 lines. Be brief. If you can't make your point in a quick way, then you've not made your point, okay? So when I say write, 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 I'm not talking about writing paragraphs. I'm talking about being clear in what you write. If you write something, even if it's an email, spend that extra 30 seconds, read your own email, and edit. Every book that's ever been printed was edited 10 times, right? I'm sorry I'm preaching to you guys. I just want you to be successful, okay? I talk about presenting, getting a mentor, all right? There are a lot of people in our community who've been very successful, and all it takes is for you or your parent to pick up the phone and call them and say, would you consider mentoring my son or daughter for this reason? It's not a lifetime thing. It may be 1 or 2 phone calls. I've done it for a lot of different people. And, you know, I'm happy to do that, and other people in the room are happy to do that. Why? Why do you want a mentor? And everybody I hire, I get them a mentor, because you need somebody to tell you how to progress through your career. You're gonna get a job, and then you'll work in your job, and you'll be in that job forever unless you do something about it. Nobody comes out and goes, hey, you're awesome, I'm gonna promote you. That rarely happens. If you take responsibility for your career, you can move your career forward, but you need somebody to guide you through that in whatever that career is, okay? So get a mentor. For the young women in this course, I implore you, I beg you, don't just think about math and science. I just gave you an example. My CEO, her bonus is $30 million a year, okay? That's just the bonus. All the technology companies have women in senior positions. A lot of the engineering companies, when you look at their, senior management, it's bald white guys, and all they want to do is bring on a woman. You have a tremendous opportunity. Get an engineering degree, get in one of these companies, get a mentor, and within a few years, you'll be making bank, you'll be responsible for a lot, and you will contribute to that. Okay, I think I'm out of time. I've got a bunch more slides, but I'm getting the sign to go. These are the salaries. You can look at the salaries while I'm leaving. The key jobs: big data engineer, database manager, mobile applications developer, data scientist, and a whole bunch more, okay? So the jobs are very, very lucrative, and I thank you very much for your time, all right? I'm sorry I went over.
Can you wait 1 second? I wanted to thank you on behalf of the Youth Empowerment Program. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for taking your time to come and speak to us today. Can everyone give him a round of applause? Also, lunch will be served shortly. Can the sisters please start heading to the cafeteria? And make sure to have your tickets out.
someone's gonna come, she's gonna start saying, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
Oh, that's fucking wrong.
I was like, "What the hell?"
It happened twice. It happened in one place.
I know, and then told me that would be on the back. Bro, you should have showed us the. I would have like been like, "Here, bitch." That's all I heard.
What the fuck is the roof, bro?
I know, that's because it probably leaks in here, nigga.
Yeah. Wondering.
Yeah. Bro, there was gonna have 20 other extensions they could have bought, and they chose the shittiest one just because it looked nice.
It does look nice.
It does look nice, but
It's fucking nice.
yeah. I was like, come on, I'd rather have something that works than something that looks nice. Like having a Lamborghini that doesn't suck. Like that's what you want it for.
Yeah. Well, I used to come in for Mac, bro. Fuck that shit. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
What did it stand for? McCann, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't ESPN and sauce logo? You want?
Oh shit.
I don't know. He doesn't care.
Who?
What's his name?
You're on the sister's side. Where's you on the sister's side?
Oh look, that's a nice projector though.
This one?
Yeah.
What if I slapped it?
If you stand it, it's probably like $5,000. You know.
No.
Imagine you slipped. Spooky, spooky ghost. Spooky, spooky.
Oh shit, bro. I didn't even see that bitch. My eyes just adjusted.
Nigga, you just blind, nigga. What is this? It's an eraser. I'll erase that dick off your face. Oh yeah, that's good. What the hell, dude? I started getting dizzy. I was like, why is this thing moving? I was like, what the fuck,
You see the fucking sun, nigga.
bro? Let's see this. Bro, it's literally daytime in here, nigga. It's more light than dark. Shady is up ears. Oh, girls. Watch, someone's gonna come in. He's like, oh my god, what are you guys doing in here?
Sammy's here?
No, Selma.
Who?
Selma.
Oh, the fat bitch? The
Yep.
fucking...
Selma never comes here.
looking man?
Yeah. Bro, we were there chilling inside in the room. She's like, everybody get out. Bro, me and Abdullah were chilling in the lounge. And Alice just comes and she starts saying,
Dhawan, how are you? Silent corner. Urdu corner is corner. When two walls meet, is a corner. This is a corner. Corner. Right? So, see.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. If you can all make your way back to the main room, we'll go ahead and move on to our next session.
Allahu Akbar.
Wait, where's Tiba?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're going to go ahead and begin the Kahoot in about a minute. So if you haven't joined already, go ahead and join. If you don't know how to join, just go ahead and go to the website that's listed and type in that code. And then, yeah, that's it. We'll just begin in about a minute.
Go to the other side.
Is everyone in that wants to play? Or is there someone still trying to join? Are you in? Okay. Are you good? Are we all good here? No? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and start. Good job. All right, next question.
All right, is everyone's answers in? Should we skip it? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, I'm going to skip it. Yep, perfect. Ooh, everyone was listening for this question. Awesome. Who's man? Raise your hand if you're a man. Mosh. Oh, yes. Awesome. So we got man in first place. Okay, yeah. All right. Question number 4. What is not a top soft skill? To really test if you guys were paying attention during our first talk. Oh, nice. Majority if everyone got that one. All right, Rania is in the lead and Asmat is second and Man is third. This one's tricky, guys. Be very, very sure. All right, lock in your answers. Ooh, 7 of you guys were incorrect. Brother Saeed was talking about how you cannot have a job in artificial intelligence. All right, Rania is in the lead. Man is second. Am I saying this right? Is that Amani? Amin. Okay, mashallah. There we go. All right, number 6. In Saeed Qazi's words, what is a cloud? Very good, everyone. That was yeah, real decent. All right, Rania is in first, Man second, and in third. All right, number 7. In Saeed Qazi's words, do you have to work in a big company to live on a golf course? It's supposed to say golf course. Three, 2, 1. Nice. All right, Man is back in first. All right, you guys ready for the next question? Are you guys ready for the next question? I still can't hear you. Are you ready for the next question? All right, that'll do. Can communication help you get a job? All right, they're rolling in fast for this one. Perfect. Oh, man. People who said false, work on your communication skills. Aminan first. Complete the sentence. Read, and. This is good. A lot of you guys were paying attention. Ooh, Hanyan first. Complete the sentence. Be brief and. Hint, the picture's giving it away. And you still got them wrong. All right. Be brief and short. Get to the point. Remember that 2-page, Brother Saeed was able to. Brother Saeed was able to make his 2-page long email into 4 lines. Hania in the lead again. Let's go number 11. Do you need a mentor? Nice. All right, dude. Garfield, where'd you come from? All right, last question. True or false as well. Are there opportunities for women in management/CEO positions? Nice. Second place, Garfield. First place, Hania. All right, you gotta go tell Hania what was her favorite part of the talk. Go ask her.
Hania? Where's Hania? Hania? What was your favorite part of the talk?
Of the talk? To be brief and short.
Awesome. All right, so right now we're going to have a 5-minute break, and then we'll go ahead and resume. So feel free to stretch, grab some water, use the restroom. Then we'll return in 5 minutes.
was really, it was kind of popular. And I always related to Garfield because he was fat and lazy. I didn't ever want to do anything, right? That was kind of my dream, like, it never came true. But so that's why I picked the name Garfield. And I give you guys a secret. If somebody asks for like my favorite pet, just let them know it's Garfield. But not if it's my password thing. Okay, so Ijaz Bhai is on his way. He's the dean of Santiago College, and so he and I kind of a little bit tag teaming today. But if he doesn't get here on time, I'm going to continue with his PowerPoint part, and he'll be here for the panel discussion. Okay, so today's, I think part of today's topic, part of today's objective, I should say, is to be successful, right? So how do you succeed, whether it's through education or work or whatever. And so I will kind of talk about that, but I'll talk to you that from my perspective. Actually, I'm going to give you a quick background on myself so that you have a better idea of what it is I do and why I'm here. So my name is Sana Khan. I'm a radiologist by training. And so my medical degree is in radiology. I have residency training in radiology and residency training in pathology. I have a PhD degree in neurophysiology and a PhD in molecular anatomy. So, and I own a company called Expert MRI. We have imaging center in San Diego, Northern California, but 25 locations. So it's interesting. My wife often jokes about this, because I have joked about it in the past. Say that, you know, I have 3 doctorate degrees. So stop pretending to be a doctor. You're a businessman and just move on. Because that's what I actually run business in medicine. So, so what are the things that, if I may be so bold to say that I have successful business, what are the things that actually lead you there? What gets you there? And Saeed really hit upon a lot of those factors. And I really do wish that his talk was, we had more time for his talk, and then, because I was really learning a lot myself going along. But I want to talk to you about empowerment. I want to talk to you about how is it that you can actually be successful. And I'm going to give you rules of business that's going to make you successful. But I'm actually also going to give you rules that doesn't just limit to business. This is going to be success in life. Okay? And you say, how can I be so bold to make that kind of a statement? But I'm going to give you knowledge today that's going to make you successful in your life. Okay? So let's figure out how to be successful. There's a hadith, and it's a hadith Qudsi, which means that the Prophet ﷺ says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Right? It's not a revelation that came from Jibreel alayhi salam. It's actually a statement of the Prophet ﷺ saying that Allah says this. So on the authority of Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him. Guys, don't mind if I use I'll do the pointing here, so you can follow from here as well, right? Who said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if Allah loved a servant of his, he calls Jibreel and says, I love so and so, therefore love him. He, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, so Jibreel loves him. Then he, Jibreel, calls out in the heaven saying, Allah loves so and so, therefore love him. And the inhabitants of the heavens love him. And he, the Prophet ﷺ, said that acceptance is established for him on earth. Why am I telling you this hadith when we're talking about success of business or life? If you want to be successful, if you really want to be successful, whatever it is that you do, it's really good to be liked. And it's even better to be loved. So if people like you, and better, people love you, relationships. Who you're going to work with is about what kind of relationship you have. Some people may work with you begrudgingly for whatever reason, for a moment of time, but as fast as they can, possibly in the future, they'll go away from you. Okay? But if people like you and if they love you, they will work with you. And that happens to be true across the board, not just in business. So how do you get people to love you? You get people to love you if you stay focused on getting Allah to love you. And how do you get Allah to love you? Well, that's today's topic. Okay? So that's the hadith. Right? If Allah loves a servant, then the entire universe loves that person. Okay? So what I did was I've gone through the passages of the Quran and picked out the ayahs that end in or contain that Allah loves such and such person or characteristic. Okay? So be kind to others if you want to be successful. Because Allah loves those who are kind to others. This is Surah Ma'idah, ayah number 13. Okay? So when you're kind to people, you know, kindness permeates everything. You know that? When you're kind, it shows up in all aspects. And people see that. You're genuinely kind. It's going to make a big difference in a way, not just for work, not just for, even your friends will realize that you're a kind person. And so, this is ayah number 13. Well, let's go to ayah number 10 or 159 of Surah Al-Imran, right? And when you have taken a decision, then put your trust in Allah. Allah loves those who put their trust in Him. Okay? So, I go back to saying it's about business, but it's not about business. But these are the things that make you really successful in business. When you make a decision, you cannot have analysis paralysis. Make a decision the best possibly you can, and then put your trust in Allah. And do what you need to do. Okay? Allah loves those who put their trust in Him. Be good. Okay? And that's a broad statement. Be good. But I think we all know, we actually inherently know when we're being good or we're being bad. So, check with your heart and ask. Because Allah loves those who do good. Get Allah to love you, everybody else will love you, including the malaika. And including Jibreel, right? Very important. Now, this is not just important, again, I keep saying, this is about life. If you do this, Allah will love you. So another characteristic that Allah loves is those who fulfill their pledges. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When others are counting on you, when you have said to them, I'm going to do this, whether it's at work, right? Whether it's at school. If you have a project going, you're in a group project with 3 or 4 people, everybody has to do their part. What if you don't? What if you're the 4th wheel in that car? That car will not get to go anywhere. And you have hurt other people. When you pledge something, do it. Now, I can tell you one thing, having lived for a long time on this planet, at least longer than you guys, not everything you say you'll be able to do. Not everything you even promise you'll be able to do. But you know when you aren't able to do it. Handle it responsibly right away. If you cannot finish that project, and you know next Thursday it's due, but you know that you've got jury duty for the next 3 days, and you won't be able to, don't wait. Let your other teammates know, right, that you won't be able to fulfill your pledge. But when you can fulfill your pledge, fulfill your pledge. Because Allah loves those who fulfill pledges. Okay? be equitable in all aspects of your life. Okay? What does that mean? Be equitable means treat things fairly. Okay? And in fact, there's one, I think it's right. So there's, I got a couple more to go, but so you want to be fair, you want to be equitable. Okay? So let's just say, for example, well, how can I be fair and equitable? How can I not be right? So let's say you have a job opening, you're the manager, and your cousin applies, and another person applies, but that person is much more qualified for the job, and you know it. But you choose to give that job to your cousin, even though that wasn't fair. What do you guys think? Heck no. You say heck no? But I'll tell you one thing right now, majority of the time, from the countries that our parents originate from or where we come from, majority of the time, it's about who gives or who's related to whom. Yeah? Right? So be fair in what you do. When you have two people that you're trying to, or be fair with others from yourself too, right? Be fair, be equitable. You know, when your child needs to have diaper change at 2 in the morning, be fair to your wife. One time she wakes up, next time you wake up. Believe me, I'm telling you this, and vice versa. Same thing. Okay? Vice versa. And some of you are married, some of you are not married. I'm just giving you an example of marriage. If you're equitable, if you're fair, your spouse is going to know it. Okay? But you're being equitable and fair because you want Allah's love. If that becomes your driving force, if that is what drives you, is to please Allah, then you're actually not doing it for your wife. You're not doing it for your child. You get up at 2:30 in the morning. If you are getting up because you have to do this, believe me, you're gonna have resentment against that child or maybe even your wife or your spouse. You say, what? I'm up, I'm working all day, and now I'm having to do this, I gotta go to job. Imagine thinking about it another way, right? Imagine thinking that you want to please Allah's love. And this is an amana from Allah. That baby that's in front of you is an amana from Allah. You actually get a chance to give that amana back. You want to hope, you pray. That's a completely different lecture someday. I should talk to you guys about. But you want to give that amana back in a better situation than you received. Better situation meaning the child who just knows nothing is growing up. You deliver that child to adulthood, knowing the Quran, knowing how to pray, knowing how to actually be a good person. You know, I'll give you a nice story. It's a little offshoot. Really apologize. So you know Sheikh Fahmy, of course, right? You're going to be here next week. Inshallah, you all know Sheikh Fahmy. So Sheikh Fahmy was moving, and he was going to leave his car at my house. Right? He had a Toyota, white Toyota, you guys remember? Yeah. Right? So he's going to leave at my house. So what happened? And I'm not saying this, but just so you understand. So he was going to leave it, so I ran in and I got shades. You know those front shades that keep the car protected from the sun? And I was putting it on, he's like, what are you doing? So I said, well, I want to make sure that, you know, for the 2 weeks or whatever you're gone, that do you understand how, like, what was the effect on what he told you? Right? He was leaving me with an amana, but he was just like, you know, like, it just made him feel so amazing that I was actually, like, wanting to put a shade in his car, right? Right? So my point being is that when Allah's giving you an amana of whatever it is, whether it's a child, whether it's work, whatever it might be, just know that you want to return it back better than you. And so be equitable, be fair in all your relationships, and Allah will love you, and when Allah loves you, all of creation will love you. Okay? Be patient. Be patient, because things will happen in life. When you're patient, Allah loves those who are patient, right? In another place, in Allah ma sabirin. You guys have heard of this? Allah is with those that are patient. So imagine something going wrong, and then when you're patient, just know that Allah is with you. And if Allah is with you, who else do you need? Right? So when you're being patient, just know that Allah is with you, because Allah is always sadaqallahu al-azim, right? Allah always speaks the truth. Okay? So Allah loves those also who repent and who purified themselves. So when you do something wrong, which happens to all of us, whether it's at work or school or personal life, things happen. You make a mistake. Ask for forgiveness. Be repentful, because Allah loves those who repent. And it isn't just repenting to Allah. Okay? When you make a mistake, you harm someone, you do something wrong to somebody, ask for their forgiveness. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Is he here yet? You want me to use this? Oh, you have to do that. That's what I think he's trying to tell you. I think it's really good. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we just talked about this a little bit earlier. Allah loves those who are fair and just. Okay, so be just and fair. Observe your duty to Allah, and Allah will love you. So what are the duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Well, I think you guys already know this, but you have the mandatories, right? You've got the duties, says be mindful of your duties. So this is Abu Umama on Hadith number 73, Riyadh al-Salihin, says that the Prophet ﷺ, during the sermon of the farewell pilgrimage, said that be mindful of your duty to Allah. Perform your 5 daily salah, observe Saum, pay your zakah on your properties, okay? And obey your leaders, and you will enter Jannah of your Rabb. So make sure that you do duties that Allah asks you to do. Help each other. Okay? Want Allah to love you? Help each other. Because Allah loves those who help each other. Ayah number 71, Surah Tawbah. The believers, men and women, are protectors. They are protectors of one another. Okay? Protect one another. You here. Okay. Excellent. How are you going? Okay, so then I'll wrap it up. So protect one another. But what's interesting about this, the ending of this ayah always amazes me, because it's one of the strongest endings that I know, because it says those who do this. The believing men and women are protectors one of another. They enjoin what is just, forbid what is evil. They observe regular prayers, practice regular charity, and obey Allah and His Messenger. On them, Allah will pour His mercy. For Allah is exalted the powerful. Allah, have you ever been in the rain? Have you ever been in the rain when it's really coming down hard? Is it possible to not get soaked wet? So when pouring rain, that's what happens. And Allah says that when you are protected of one another, He will pour His mercy. Okay? And then, on the authority of Abu Hurairah, the Prophet ﷺ said, whosoever removes a worldly grief from a believer, Allah will remove from him one of the griefs of the Day of Judgment. Whosoever alleviates the lot of a needy person, Allah will alleviate his lot in this world and the next. And whosoever shields a Muslim, Allah will shield him in this world and the next. Allah will aid a servant of His so long as the servant aids his brother. And then, in Surah As-Saf, ayah number 4, surely Allah loves those who battle for His cause as they were a wall filled with lead together. Allah loves those that are working together, protecting each other, doing things with each other. Okay, so that was my little talk on how to be successful in business, school, and last but not least, in your personal life. Get Allah to love you, and everyone else, everything else, the entire universe. And those characteristics are not secret. They're actually in the Quran, very clearly written. Anybody wants the PowerPoint, get it all there. Sayed Ijaz Rizvi. He's the dean, and I believe, are you now vice president as well, Santiago College? MashaAllah. So he and I are very, very dear friends. I'll take this. Sorry, you want to use and so he and I are very, very dear friends. And one of the things that he's in charge of student affairs at Santiago College. So we're always having interesting conversations. Oh, I can hear myself now. Interesting conversations regarding the advantages of college and why everyone should consider actually going to junior college. I didn't go to junior college, but in retrospect, it would have been great if I had, given the cost of education and all that fun stuff now. So I'll hand over the mic is yours. And
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. So basically, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some comparisons, some different things. Some of you are probably done with high school, but to give you a little bit of background, California has about 115 community colleges, 23 CSUs, and 11 UCs. Altogether, UCs have about 230,000 students. California State Universities have about 500,000 students, and community colleges have about 2 million students. When a student comes out of high school, they usually have, all of them mostly have aspirations of going to UC in California. That's the common thing that we go through, namely UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Irvine. And not everybody can get in. To give you an idea, we have about 1.7 million high schoolers who are currently in high school. UCLA just last year accepted 7,000 applications. 7,000 applications mean those who are coming from high schools and those who are actually transferring from community colleges. That's what they do. They received 106,000 applications just from high schoolers. And out of that, they took 6,000 high schoolers. A lot of them were probably upset because they probably were attending Troy. They were attending other magnet schools, and they were hoping that they can get into these schools. But the competition is tough. There is no state law that mandates that they have to actually admit high schoolers from California into UCs. And that makes it very tough. With the same token, actually UCI is claiming that this past fall, they got more applications than UCLA. So they actually are definitely getting there. And they accepted 6,000 students. So I come across students all the time who want to ask, hey, what can I do to get into a UC? I basically tell them that the easiest route is there was a law in California during Arnold Schwarzenegger's time. He actually passed a law which actually called for UCs that they must give a preferential admission treatment to students who have attended community colleges, and then they can be transferred to a UC. So when that happened, 6 UCs definitely were part of transfer admission guarantee: UCI, UC Riverside, UC Santa Barbara, UC Merced, UC Davis, and UC Santa Cruz. And to this day, they are all part of this. Now, I just shared with you how many applications UCLA received. As a system as a whole, UC received 45,000 applications from community colleges students transferring to UC system. And 28,000 of those got accepted. So now if you look at 100,000 students just applying at UCLA and 6,000 getting accepted. That's from all the high schools in California. About 6,000 to 7,000 coming from UC system, going to UCI and all of these other schools. So it makes perfect sense for students to actually consider. They used to think that community colleges are the last resort. Instead of worrying about going to 0 periods, taking a SAT, doing all of the other things and still getting disappointed, I think there is other option that students have. They can definitely look into how they can finish a community college and get into a UC if they are an honor student. Honor student definition, depending upon the major, goes to 3.2 and higher GPA. That's what they ask for. Depending upon the major, they may actually go a little higher. They can go to 3.5, 3.6, depending upon what major you want to go to. Now, one of the things I want to tell students, regardless of any community college that exists, that's the law. So they should definitely consider that. I know quite a few folks in this room, their children have gone through this route. Actually, Sana's son, he's finishing. Oh, there he is. Hi, Samir, how are you doing? You already finished, you're finishing? You're finishing. And he went to Santiago Canyon College, and he was 15 years old when he decided he wants to do that. So what we did is we actually, I know a few people who went through the traditional route, and I know a few people who went through this route. And we had our dinner together, correct? Had a conversation at that dinner, because even Sana had some reservations about it. And how do you feel about that now, Sana?
I'm $100,000 richer.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, this is a good one when he said he's $100,000 richer. Now, we talk about cost of education going up in California. What we charge here for UC, CSU, actually still is less than half the cost of another state institution in some other states. We do not have this type of subsidization that we have in California in other states. So if you are paying $8,000 a year at a CSU or $12,000 or $14,000 at a UC system, actually what you have to understand is when taxpayers are paying their taxes in California, that is actually coming back to the education system. For every full-time student, UC receives roughly about $15,000 from the state of California. That's the state subsidy that they receive. Now, if you take that subsidy out, the UC will not be $15,000 a year. It will be actually $25,000 a year.
So also just to add on to that, for Samir to live at UCLA is costing me just in the rent about
Sure.
About $25,000 a year.
Absolutely.
That just right there, rent and tuition is $40,000, let alone everything else that goes along with it. So the $50,000 a year number is not a unreal number.
Absolutely. It is not. When folks think about private institutions like USC, there's nothing wrong with USC. The only thing you have to think about is they do not have the state subsidy. So how they're making up for the difference it will cost them to run the institution is what they're charging you. So if it costs someone to go to USC and they're paying $75,000, $80,000 a year, it's not that it makes it a better institution. It is a similar institution. I think it's a very good institution. But at the same time, if you ask some of my friends, I have some very good friends who are working for Deloitte and other places, and I asked them, hey, if you have been given an option to hire from USC, Cal State Long Beach, or UCLA, obviously UCLA is always first, but you'll be surprised how many people tell me they'll take the other student from Cal State Long Beach over USC any day. So it's very interesting how from school to school, the caliber of education is not measured by what it costs. However, a sticker tends to be the common thing for all of us in our lives. When we buy designer clothes, when we buy everything. So I was tasked to actually start a brand new international program at Santiago Canyon College. We are a small community college compared to the rest of the other colleges in the area. Like for instance, Mount Sac has 40,000 students. We have 13,000 students. We never had any international students. So as I was traveling, and I traveled quite a bit to figure out how this recruitment works and what else, whatnot, I learned that the rest of the world actually goes with the sticker price. When you can afford to send your child to US, then you look for the most expensive institution instead of worrying about the quality of education. So I remember being at an education fair and with some of my staff members, and we only received probably 10 applications that time. And there was a school out of New Jersey. Their tuition alone was $75,000 a year. I'd never heard about this school called Stevenson University of Technology. Apparently it's a good school. But he must have received in Vietnam at least 70 applications while he was there. In 2 days' time, I saw him doing it. And come to think of it, that society actually, when you have money, they look at it from the perspective of if it's costing more, it must be a very good school. So that's the way a lot of folks think usually. One of the benefit of attending community college, and in no way I'm saying you should not try to get into UCLA or CSU or anything like this. However, is if you're coming out of high school, you still get any community college you go to, your class sizes are smaller. You get more one-on-one attention, and by the time you get done in 2 years, you're really ready to go to a four-year institution. I don't know how many students I come across on regular basis who actually have gone to a four-year school, and after a quarter, because some schools are quarter schools, some schools are semester school, they come back to a community college. Either they didn't make it, or they had a hard time adjusting because some class sizes can go into 400, 500 students. They're graded on curve. You get to learn a little bit about how a UC system operates if you take a summer term at a community college. Because let's face it, their terms are what, 10-week terms? Roughly, a UC term is about a 10-week term. So it's a very fast-paced term. So you have to get acclimated with all of those things. But in addition to this, I would say definitely the cost. Cost is only $46 a unit in California. If you go to a community college in New York, the state of New York has, the in-state tuition is over $150 a unit. I went to Youngstown, Ohio recently. There actually every community college has a different tuition. Ours is governed from the state of California. So the one community college was running $180 a unit, another one was running $164 a unit. And depending upon what zip code you live in, whoever was closer to it, their tuition was different than the other. So here you can go to any college and you can do that.
What about classes and stuff that you have? Do you, and we were talking about AI earlier and the effect of that. I mean, do you have robotics classes?
Sure, now we do have a robotics major. So no doubt about it. Now I want to share one more thing with you. So this is very interesting too. When you get a bachelor degree, if you look at semester units, it takes you about 124 units to get a bachelor degree. The first level, the second level, your 101 courses, 201 courses, 301, 401. The first 2 years are exactly identical when you attend a community college or you attend a four-year institution. That's why a lot of community colleges call themselves a 2+2 model. You do the first 2 years at community college, and then you do the last 2 years at a four-year institution. Now, another thing is the most you can do is at the most 70 units that are transferable. So 30-some units of general ed and another set of units to go to your electives. So it's very comparable, but I don't mind admitting this, that most of the country as a whole is behind when it comes to coming up with majors. If you look at, there's a businessinsider.com. It's actually a very good website. I would strongly recommend that. It tells you about the up-and-coming professions and up-and-coming in next decade, what people will be looking for. And if you go and Google schools, you would find them, but you would not find most of it in public institutions. You would find it at four-year institution level, but you may not find it at even the top ranking four-year institutions. So like cybersecurity, not everybody offers cybersecurity, but it's a great major to be in. AI, yes, AI is a great major to be in, But I can tell you right away, we probably don't have it at our college, but I can tell you at some other college they may have it. And in addition to it, like Sana was talking about it, a lot of things in the world are changing. I remember growing up, and I'm from Pakistan, people are going for an appendix surgery and sometimes they don't make it. That's the very common thing. Here, it happens without any problem. Nowadays, people have their kidneys removed through a robot. You don't even have to worry about getting everything cut, and they just go in and just come out. Less infections, no germs, nothing to worry about. So things are changing drastically, and when we were growing up, we were asked to have these, our parents were pushing us to be engineers and doctors, or that's about it. And if you don't get into one of those, your life is done. Basically, that's the way it felt like at that time. So for myself to end up into education, I consider myself as an accidental tourist. Because you were doing something, you tried something, you didn't like something, and then you end up doing something that you really enjoyed. And to tell you the truth, there are many professions out there, there is no major for them. For instance, I had my career beginning in financial aid. There is no bachelor degree or master's degree in financial aid. There is no bachelor degree to be an A&R person at an institution. A lot of folks actually frown upon liberal arts degrees, but I can tell you this too, if you really know what direction you want to go to, you can make something out of almost any undergraduate degree. In fact, if someone wants to be a doctor, you don't have to have your bachelor in biology and this and that and everything else. You can actually get an engineering degree and then take some electives and take MCAT and go to a med school if you want to. You may already know that. Some of the things which we are definitely behind as institutions, like for instance, I can tell you like Chapman is offering right now pharmacy. They just started a pharmacy school, if I'm not wrong. Or the previous California College of Optometry just turned into Ketchum University, and they're offering a pharmacy degree. If you ask some of us, not to put anyone down, I hope there's no one here with a pharmacy major, but there is still hope, but I think the future hope is dwindling down in this major. Who's taking over? Robotics is taking over. How they're taking over? There are completely automated pharmacies where they require only one pharmacy person, one pharmacist, and rest of them are all techs. So previously, if you go to a pharmacy with 4 people in it, now you will find one pharmacist and 4 technicians in it. And it's very hard in California right now to get a full-time position as a pharmacist. So while these schools are coming up just now with these degrees, they may not be with the time. So it behooves us as young adults, for you guys, to actually look at what are up and coming professions. For instance, how many of you know about what is an actuary? Do you know what actuaries are? Can anyone answer? Yes, sir. Go ahead. Absolutely. You know, losses, mortalities, losses, these kind of things. What kind of industry will hire someone who does that? Insurance industry. And there is a huge, huge demand for this major, but we don't know about it. Let me give you a quick idea in regards to there was a conference in Singapore just a month and a half ago, and that was about to analyze gases. So 104 or so attendees left right after the conference, not knowing that one of the attendees was from Malaysia who had coronavirus. So that's how one attendee went to France, to French Alps, and that's how France got it. That's how all these different countries got this thing. And now they're trying to track each and every one of those 94 who dispersed, who they came in contact with, and who actually was at what place, where they had their rest of the meals, which planes they were in, who they flew with, they were sitting next to. That is actually a profession, to go ahead and track down and everything from where this person went to. Center for Disease Controls have this, and all the world has these departments. This is a major, to go ahead and do this kind of investigation, to go ahead and find someone. So I was just reading up on this whole thing. So we should not limit ourselves to the professions which we hear about all the time. There are lots and lots of professions. The common one which is out nowadays is PAs. It doesn't take a doctorate degree, it takes a master's degree. That's very common actually, and please don't take it wrong, but I've come across a lot of young ladies in our religion and our culture who are doing this, because there's another reason too. The reason being the pressure of getting married. And you come out of high school, then you go do this for 4 years, and in 5th year, you actually have your master's degree and you're a PA. The model is changing. The employer models are changing. How they're changing? The employers are basically doing this. Look at Kaiser. There will be 1 physician on duty, and there will be 15 PAs under them, because it requires that there must be a physician on duty in order for a PA to work. That's the way that works. That's the way that model works. And basically, if you think about it from going back to the perspective I was talking about, you do your high school. How you do that, basically, a lot of girls do that too right now. At 16 years of age, you decide to take California High School Proficiency Exam, which is exiting the high school. So about 15 years ago, California came up with a law where the students were supposed to take CASI. Right now, CASI is on suspense, which was California High School Exit Exam. And somebody has legally challenged it, so I don't think they're doing it anymore. And basically with CASI, it was in 10th grade, you take this exam, and after 11th and 12th grade, then you get your high school diploma. However, if you didn't pass this exam in 10th grade, you don't get your high school diploma when you get to the 12th grade. So in so many words, California was saying, you know what? You actually receive whatever you need to receive to get the heck out of high school after the 10th grade. So folks who needs to go to their proms and they need to go to their dances and all that, that's fine. But if you take CHESP, you can technically exit the high school and go to a community college. You go to a community college and you do your 2 years there, and when you're coming on to a 4-year institution as a junior, your friend at high school is graduating. So that's one way of looking at it. Not only you get to pick, hopefully, a UC of your choice. By the way, I already told you earlier that there are 6 UCs who are part of this California Transfer Admission Guarantee, but not necessarily. Actually, a preferential admission treatment is given at UCLA also, and Berkeley also. They don't call it TAG, they call it TAP. And they don't usually advertise it. But they do give preferential admission treatment to community college students, depending upon the major. So that's very important to understand. Regardless of whichever community college you go to, you should look at those things. Now, going to community college is not difficult. You can actually still continue to attend your 11th grade if you feel like it after you pass your CHESP. CHESP usually happens in April and October, if I'm not wrong. I heard they have added another date to CHESP now too. You can find California High School Proficiency Exam website by Google searching it. And once you pass the CHESP, you can go online and create a login ID at any community college, complete an application. And the good thing is you don't have to worry about providing any SAT or anything like this. And then you can go ahead and start doing your classes. Now, when you get to any of the colleges, what I would strongly recommend is meet with a counselor who knows that major that you want to do, and then do a comprehensive education plan. A comprehensive education plan is very important. Map out your 2 years. Technically, the most you will get transferred is 70 units from a community college to a four-year institution. And if you think about it, if you take 15 units at, 15 units per term, fall, spring, and just take 2 summers, you can do 70 units. But by 62 to 64 units, you can transfer without any problem to a four-year institution. Any questions so far? Yes, sir. Walaikum salam.
I have a quick question. In regards to, you spoke about like different majors, right? So like for the kids that come from facing parents, right? That all they know is like, for instance, when I told my father I wasn't going to be a doctor, his heart like shattered, right? So like, let's say you're telling your parents like, hey, you know what? Like I want to do this, and they're like, yeah, but what about a lawyer, right? So like explain to your parents that you want to do something that they've maybe never heard of. How do you kind of bridge that gap?
So that's why I kind of mentioned like one website which I really like, businessinsider.com. It's a very renowned site. You can actually probably pull it up on your cell phone. It has a lot of different things, like 30 best jobs for the next decade, less stressful jobs. It gives you how many jobs are projected for the next decade. It gives you some salary guidelines on where the starting salaries are, not the caps. The projected income usually is first few years of the job that you do. And it gives you a lot of other things. That's one of the very interesting thing you mentioned. My generation, Sana's generation, we were definitely through that. Maybe you went through that too. I think the newer generation, you guys have actually the run. You can go ahead and find any professions. However, one of the things I do say to our community and children in our community is look for a job where people will need you. Because we are dealing with a lot of stereotyping. We're dealing with lots of things where the one who is going to school with you will someday be the head of HR, and they have heard all of these things on CNN and Fox and what else or whatnot. You hear about the bias that exists. It already exists. However, I was just reading up the top in the top 30 professions. The top profession, believe it or not, is nursing. It is definitely nursing. And that is why, how many of you have noticed when you go to the hospital, and I'm in no way want to sound discriminatory or anything, but have you noticed how many nurses are from Philippines? Because we can't meet the demand. So they open visas once a year just for that country. So they can go ahead and bring nurses here, and they legalize them.
And home health care is going to be
Exactly.
nurses.
Exactly. In the other profession, I was talking about PAs. Why? Because there's not enough doctors. Previously, they used to have USMLE, and before that, it was a different name. Now it is USMLE. It's the same thing. Depending upon how many doctors are coming out and they're graduating in US, they will make the test difficult or easier because folks can come from other countries to do that. Sure. No problem.
Be really careful when you choose the profession, because as your parents, maybe who's asking this question? When your parents say become a doctor, question really is, what kind of are doctors going to have jobs in the future? On one hand, at the current space, there's a shortage of physicians. On the other hand, AI is picking this up so fast, because if you go to a family practice physician, right? You guys all been to a doctor, pediatrician, or might be. What do? They take your vitals, they take the labs, right? Take your saliva, some urine sample, potentially your blood. They go send it to the lab, correct? What does the lab do? Gives them back results. So the doctor is making his or her decision based off of algorithm. Are you following? So the computers, the AI is going to be able to do that. By the way, if you had AI, coronavirus would have been identified so much faster, so much easier to isolate. They would have caught that, oh my God, wait a minute, here's this particular disease that's happening within this particular city of 10 people, because all of that data would be connected. It would be just a doctor knowing a patient at a time. My point being is that you have to understand what, as I was saying, because nursing is going to be amazing. I think that nursing and PAs are going to have a great time. You still need that human interaction. But physicians better know where to go to, right? And so we have this group that we get together every quarter called SoCalMissionDoctors.com. We talk about this last time that doctors need to understand. There's going to be devices in each home that's going to be constantly monitoring the people in that home, their vitals, their blood pressure, their sugar levels, all of that, and it's going to be constantly being reported to a centralized server on the cloud. And when something goes wrong, it'll be able to identify and immediately notify the doctor. And the doctor could call the patient in. It becomes a billable event. But if the doctor is not willing to adapt to technology, they're going to be extinct.
You're right. So what he's saying, for instance, like my wife is a family practitioner, and you have these billing forms that they create for insurance companies. ICD-10 is the latest version of that. And with the ICD-10 form, what they have done is they do reimbursement to doctors based on how the patient came to see them and what was their diagnosis and what were they tested for now, everything. But the highest reimbursement now for doctors, if they actually do a web-related or a FaceTime-related online telemedicine. Why? They are reimbursing them most right now. However, they will reduce this reimbursement once everybody will adapt to it. That's what they're moving towards. That's how insurance companies make money. So that's what I tell my wife, well, maybe you'll be fine with the current generation you're treating. However, if you were doing this 15 years from now, maybe you'll have to readapt to something totally different. So you have to keep that into consideration when you're looking at a profession, where this profession is going and where it will be 10, 15, 20 years from now, and how much demand it would have in it. Previously, folks used to come here and they will do their BBA and MBAs. I consider that to be one of the most toughest field to get a job in, to tell you the truth. Yes, if you want to do something in business, definitely in accounting, please go for a CPA too, in addition to that. Just don't go for something where you have to rely on someone to hire you. You can do something on your own too.
Can we ask them, what are you guys going into? I mean, it's interesting. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Child life?
Not pediatrician.
LIFE? Child life? Yeah, see, excellent, right? Because we're not going to trust our kids to robots, right? So actually what I wonder, if you don't mind, can we start off here and then ask you guys this major? Is that fair? Identify yourself. You won by a few points, okay? It wasn't that much of a difference.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I'm a molecular cell bio major and I intend on going to research.
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Hannah and my major is in business law.
Business law?
Awesome.
Oh.
Listen, you gotta be able to speak in front of people. Remember what Saeed said? Okay, so let's just start. Go.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jenna Kanan. I'm a data science major.
What science?
Data science.
Data science. Excellent. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed and I'm a biomedical engineering major.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Asma. I'm a bio major at UCI in pre-med.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Sama. I'm majoring in psychology and I'm going and teaching for it.
Excellent. We're not going to have robots teach you. No, it's true. You're not going to trust a robot to teach your child.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Ayman. I'm a bio/public health major, and I plan on going into PA school.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha. I'm a college grad and I plan on going into health law.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Amna and I'm a bio major.
I'm Hania and I graduate with econ.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hanan or Hanin, and I plan on entering public health science.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Sara and I should be attending law school in the fall, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hind and I'm a kinesiology exercise science major and I plan on starting physical therapy school next year, inshallah.
Salam, my name is Zoya. My major is public health and I'm going to become, inshallah, a nurse practitioner.
You guys better be at least doing that well.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hamza. I'm a last year in UCR and I'm studying computer science.
My name is Shayan. I already graduated in electronics and computer engineering.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Hadi. I don't have a declared major.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Samir. I'm a mechanical engineer major.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muaz Ali, and I went to law school.
Assalamu alaikum, Aleem Bilwani, and I'm a real estate professional.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Hassan Ilyas, and I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology.
Mustafa Swale, child life specialist.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shariar. I'm a recent grad in economics and looking to get into data science.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Atif. I'm a chemistry major.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Umar and I'm 14, so I don't got a major.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Akil and I'm a psych and social behavior major.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amir Khan and I'm a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Shabana and I'm a psych mental health nurse practitioner.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Iman and I'm majoring in political science.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Maz, and I majored in public relations at Cal State Fullerton, and I tried to be a professional server.
When I hear about mental health majors, this is going to be one of the biggest demand coming up. It's already there. There is a huge deficit on the kind of help people need, and depending upon our upbringing, cultural background, and everything else, and your life experiences, we are seeing more and more of this. To give you an example, for our institution, there's not, we have like behavioral intervention team now. We have a care team now. We actually, the first thing I do is read the security report for the campus when I get into the office to see what happened the day before. And the world is changing as we know it. It is a very interesting place to be when it comes to education, because you have to do everything just right before you want to make sure that all the kids who are coming to the campus are safe. And that's going on a daily basis for me, where we have to actually see if we are on top of everything. Our texting technology, our mental health professionals, our ratio of how many mental health professionals we have available versus the problems that we have, and there's a huge shortage of that. So each country has its own issues, and then we have some growing issues that I don't know how we're gonna mitigate in time. But in my opinion, definitely folks need to move towards a graduate degree, a minimum, when it comes to mental health. And if possible, a doctorate degree, because that's where the need is huge. And that's something to really look at. From community colleges perspective, I can share with you, I started at a proprietary institution I'm going to date myself, over 30 years ago in a financial aid office, and basically didn't know where I was going, and then I realized, okay, there is a better opportunity in public institution, and learned that actually community colleges were probably one of the best employers to be. So that's how I ended up at a community college system. And what I'm learning in the process is how our education system and everything we are getting to a point in many professions where we will have huge shortage of even teachers and professors, depending upon the major that we need. And those are the kind of things one has to really look at where those things are coming together. I was just reading that in next 5 years, this world will need 800,000 new pilots for airlines. And we don't realize this, but there is a huge generation of pilots who are actually about to retire. We have a major which no one ever heard of at our college called water science. We are the only one who offers this water science degree, associate degree only, and we have the water departments came to us running, saying we have a huge tidal wave of retirements coming, and their starting salaries is in 60,000, even at the lowest end positions. But they don't have any professionals to replace them because they don't have training programs. And sometimes even our colleges cannot meet all these training programs. So companies are starting their own programs. For instance, you probably, all of you must have done, what is that lab, the blood drawing lab that we have?
Phlebotomy?
Yeah, no, the lab that we have, we all go, Quest. Yeah. Quest is based out of Orange. It's Orange County, actually. It's in Aliso Viejo. That's one of the biggest employer in that area. Quest Diagnostic couldn't find people coming out of college to be trained. So they create their own program to train people. So it's very interesting how some of the things no one can meet that requirement. You'll be surprised how anxious they are to train people to go ahead and do those things. There's nothing wrong in starting in an entry-level position. You will find your niche, and that's the key. As a Muslim male or a female, you have to find your niche. You find your niche, you will be needed. That's all I can say at the most. Thank you.
So, yeah, don't go, but I think Shabana, we want to hear from you as well. So I'll tell you one thing. If there's one thing you can take away from today, all you guys, all of you guys and girls are, I think, are great majors, okay? But let me tell you that no matter what happens, every one of your majors is going to be touched by technology, okay? So understand that you got to make sure that you look at technology in your field. Now let me reverse it for you, and this is something you probably have not heard, okay? If you're a technology major, you're also going to be touched by technology, okay? That means you should look at social aspects of your field. Are you following what I'm saying? Okay, you better do a crossover, because being a computer science major doesn't mean that 10 years from now computers aren't going to be programming themselves. But someone's going to have to talk to those computers to think human-like. Are you following what I'm saying? So I know we have to, this is our cutoff point, because Shabana, I would like for you to come up. And you come up and I'll keep talking. 5 minutes break? These kids don't need breaks. We're like old people. We need bathroom breaks. They don't need bathroom breaks. No, but we should continue because I think we want to finish, right? But just hear what I'm saying to you. Look at the field you're in, understand where it's at, and look at data. What Ijaz was telling you is so right on. Look at data to where your field is going to be 10, 15 years from now. Because you're going to be smack middle of your earning. We're going to be done, pretty much, okay? But 15 years from now, you guys are going to be probably hitting your mid-30s or maybe close to getting to 40. You're going to be smack middle of your optimum earning, which is typically 45 to 55 years of age. What I'm telling you is that look at the future, but look at it with intelligence. Look at it with data
to where it is that you should be in whatever field that you've chosen to be in. Okay? So with that being said, Shabana, I will have you come up and you can do a self-introduction, I'm assuming, right? You're good at that? And then inshallah we'll have questions for you, I'm sure, after we get done.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, David.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Tired? Yeah? Everybody just get up. Get up, please. Get up. Stretch. Put your hands up. Wake up. There you go. You can pick you're not going anywhere, are you? Yeah? A good bathroom break. All right. Let's do a 5-minute bathroom break. Okay. All right, everybody, we're going to be getting started soon. Check and see, is anybody out there still? Is anybody out there still? There are, yeah. Let's bring them in. Oh, that's okay. All right. All right, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So my name is Shabana Haxton, and so I've been sitting back there and listening to the things, even though my time was cut short. No, but it was really interesting. It was really interesting conversation, right? So I'm sitting there, and these are the conversations that we would have at home, just like Dr. Sana's son. My son chose the CHESP, and I saved 2 years of, he's graduating actually from UC Irvine in March in actually 3 weeks with a bachelor's in psychology, and he's 19. So great conversation. Too bad not a lot of people will get to hear it, but so I chose nursing. And of course, just like the brother said, you have to be a doctor, right? If you're from a Desi background, you gotta be a doctor. But I went through a lot of different stages of where I am right now. So I can tell you one thing that, just like you were saying, Dr. Sana, that we cannot replace humans from robots. I mean, yes, the robots are going to do a lot of stuff, and we can't outsource nursing, right? Nobody's going to come in from the computer and then do nursing or blood draw. Maybe it's possible, but I don't think it's going to be in my lifetime, but it is possible. So yes, robotics and all of that, AI is in nursing, but we're getting there. But so nursing, one choice, unlimited options. Okay, do I click here? Yeah. Right click? There we go. So if you come across a profession, or think of a profession where you help others, you can travel, you can, unlimited opportunities, you can do anything with nursing. You make friends and good pay. So do you know a nurse? Anybody knows a nurse? Who? Awesome. So what kind of nursing, what specialty? Ear? Oh, awesome, awesome. So nursing is great. Anybody else? What do they do? How, Newport Beach? Yes. Huh? Oh, psych mental health nurse. Okay, that would be your mom, right? Okay. So can you guess which one of these people is a nurse? All of them. Yes, that's a great answer, because you could be a nurse care manager, nurse policy maker. I mean, we are out in the politics. We're out in, lobbying for nurse regulations and all of that, even in Washington, D.C. Nurse administrator, researcher, or an educator. Now, when we were talking about the pilots retiring, we have a huge nurse administrators and also nurse educator deficiency, because a huge number of nurses are retiring. So we need people to educate new nurses, right? So again, we can deliver babies, we can teach health education, we can transport people from critical care by helicopter, public health, and then also the number one thing for me was I can make a difference in somebody's life. Just one person, if I saved them, or if if Allah chose me to be the guide in their life, then that's the reason I'm in nursing for. So nursing has come a long way, when you can have a costume of nurse, with that white hat and all of that. But I can tell you for myself, I've never worked, after training, I have never worked in the hospital at a bedside nurse. There's a room for that. There's a reason for that. But that was not me. I didn't want to go into nursing for working bedside. So as I said, nurses can do anything. Now, for example, right now we also manage the physicians' panels. I work in a complete care department at Kaiser. What does complete care mean? We tell doctors what to do, and all they do is sign, right? So I'm not saying, not diminishing their authority or something, but really, the nurses are really the backbone of the hospital administration and working. Nurses today are just like you or like us. Just like you said, your brother is a nurse, right? If I tell you, think of a nurse, the first image comes up is what? A female, right? But nurses are males or females. They come from all ethnic backgrounds. I belong to an international nurses association, and we talk about throughout the world, different nurses. So it's really cool. So, and again, that's what we said, nurses can do just about anything. Just thinking of it, it's a profession and not a job. So that's the reason it's endless. The opportunities are endless, and you can work anywhere in the world. Everybody is kind of interested in how much would I make if I was a nurse. So statistically, in 2018, this is the data from 2018, in California. Now, nationwide, it might be a little different, but in California, according to Indeed.com, $55 to $60 an hour for registered nurses. Kaiser Permanente, where I work, nurses are making up to $150 and above a year. And then, of course, there are sign-on bonuses. So if you want to move, or if they're recruiting you from somewhere, sign-on bonuses are up to $10,000. So just like we said, nurses are backbone of our healthcare system. We cannot actually outsource the nurses yet. And then they relate to people. So nurses have this holistic background because we can sit there with the patient, hold their hand, and then know what's going on in the background, not just what's going on, physically with them, but also what's going on mentally with them. You can have different kinds of shifts, right? Working 12-hour shifts, so you have, you can work 3 12s or 4 10s, part-time, per diem basis, which is, you choose the days, and then have the rest of them on vacation if you can afford it, right? You will have job security, I can assure you that. Job security is higher, and then of course the signing bonuses. You can work anywhere in the world. Now I'm going very, very fast because I do want to have questions. I want to answer your questions, so I'm just going to go through this presentation fast. The work environment is different. Have you ever thought that a nurse can work in an aircraft carrier or movie sets, emergency rooms, just like, flight nurse. I have a really good friend who was a flight nurse before, and the stories that she tells. So she transports very, very sick trauma patients from one place to the other. So in research, Air Force, military, medical clinics, of course, business, pharmacology. Now, the AI that we were talking about is the advice in telehealth, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. All these different. So where would you be surprised to see a nurse? Where do you think that anywhere there may not be a nurse? A restaurant? Okay, they will not hire a nurse, but there might be a nurse around there, right? But an industry, and can you think of any industry that they may not need a nurse on board? They need to have, actually. Yeah. Actually, for my masjid, it's been 4 years that I've been really fighting to at least get an AED. It's been 4 years, and they still don't have it. But then again, I don't think it's me. All right, so maybe cruise ships. Anybody have heard of cruise ship nurses? Right? Yeah, they hire them, yeah. So what about mental health, right? Nurse psychotherapists, we know that there is a huge need for psychotherapists. Now, I'm gonna bring it down and make it a little even smaller thing, especially in our community. You know, number one thing, the stigma and the, you know, we don't wanna really talk about it, but do we need it? Yes, we do, right? So I have a lot of people who would come in and talk to me on the side, but they don't wanna come in and say, you know, I need this, or you know, this is what's happening. But we are all humans, right? Even myself, am I human? Yes, I am. Is life gonna happen to me? Yes, right? So we all need to have someone to talk to. Doesn't mean that you go into a psychotherapist, that means you're cuckoo or crazy, right? So mental health nurse practitioners, we can prescribe now. California is actually, I can't remember how many states have already given the authority to nurse practitioners to have their own individual practices. California is still fighting for it, but I think the first thing, the autonomy is gonna be for mental health nurses, that they can have their own practice, and a physician does not have to be on board. Because we're all, you know, because the other things, like for myself, I'm a certified cognitive behavioral therapist, you know, in EMDR and all of that. So, all right, let's talk about informatics, artificial intelligence. Nursing informatics. Now, again, my scope is within Kaiser Systems, so I can tell you that we work really, because we have our new Epic computer program thing. So the nurses are right up there writing or helping the consultants write the programs, because we're the ones who are telling them what needs to be done in the front line. So nurse informatics, nursing artificial intelligence. The number one thing is the cognitive databases. You know, the algorithms that you were talking about. So say, for example, if something is coming up and this patient has this, and this condition, they're going into, you know, trauma, I can go back into their chart, electronic medical record, and if I plug this in, it tells me what is the acuity of this patient to have a heart attack or do this. So I can really help the frontline people saying, okay, this person needs to go to the trauma center, or this person needs to go here. You know, the choices are endless. The robotics, the robots that are coming in, nurse robots. There's a robot called Sophia, and she actually just got the capability of walking around, and I can tell you this is the first robot that got the citizenship in Saudi Arabia. So Sophia is the first nursing robot that got citizenship, because they can help people. There's a huge, you know, number one thing in our elderly is the loneliness. They don't have people to be with them. I can tell you almost 30% of my panel, people want to come to me and talk to me because they don't have anybody else to talk to at home. They have grown children, the children are gone, or they are not talking to them for one reason or the other. So that's a huge, actually, epidemic that we're, you know, the robots are gonna fill that, right? Okay. So what do you need to have to become a nurse? Now, again, as I said, so the first thing is we do have associate degree in nursing. Degrees take about 18 months to 2 years. That's the community college nursing. You get an associate degree. And that would be where you can start, you know, on the entry level. You can go to, you know, you'd be working in the hospital, the bedside, at the hospital bedside. Now, I can tell you that associate degree is great as starting point, but I would highly recommend whoever is pursuing that to at least go for bachelor's. And the reason is because all the hospitals now are trying to apply for magnet status, and magnet status is they want every single nurse to be at least bachelor's prepared, if not master's. Okay? So even if you are gonna go the community college route, then afterwards, the bachelor's degree is only maybe 8 to 9 months online. So you could be working, and then you can be doing your. The other thing is, which I did, because I had my bachelor's in health services administration. And so they started a program called Direct Entry Masters of Science in Nursing, DEMSN program. So it was for people who don't have nursing or an RN, but you can get your master's and your RN at the same time in 15 months. That was hard, but it's doable. So again, as I said, magnet program, and then of course Masters of Science in Nursing, PhD, and now there's a new terminal degree for nurses. It's called DNP, Doctorate in Nursing Practice. Now, I did that, and I didn't finish it because I didn't think, where would I go with a doctorate? I don't want to go into health services, or I don't want to do I want to be in clinic. I want to be hands-on, and I want to be helping people. So I switched gears, and I had my master's, so I'm going, as I said, so switched back and went for nurse practitioner in psych mental health. So how do you get started? Do the best you can in high school, right? Sciences and math really helps because you will have to, calculate the doses of drugs that you're giving the patients. Start planning to go to college. That was a great, community college is a great thing. Consult a high school or college guidance counselor, and a lot of resources that are available online. So quiz time. How many of you know how many bones are in a human body? Not for Dr. Sana. How many bones are in a human body? Take a guess. 136? 206. That's great. Iman, are you cheating? You didn't look it up, did you? Okay. There are 206 bones in human body. I mean, it's really interesting. Human body is very, very interesting. When you do anatomy and physiology, it's just, you look at it and it's just, subhanAllah, it's a miracle. Okay, one more question. What's the largest organ in your body? Yes? Skin, that's good. I should have had some, your skin is the largest organ in your body. And it's a trick question, right? I should have had some gifts too, but it's okay. All right. Candy bars, yes. Scholarships are available. You just have to look for them. There are tons and tons of, especially Johnson & Johnson, Nursing Institute. See your local school's financial counselors. They know and all you have to do is just, actually, they do a lot of scholarship fairs now in high schools, so you can at least check and see what's available. And there are some, I just put in resources if you guys want to go ahead and check these out. Save one life, you're a hero. Save hundreds of lives, you're a nurse. Okay? So questions. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. So I did my master's in Sonoma County, Sonoma State University. And they were actually #1 in the nation to start that one-time program, which was the direct entry for people who didn't have a nursing background and going into nursing. Now, every single Cal State University has that. So yeah, I got it in Sonoma County.
So is the master's program 1 year after bachelor's, or is it
2 years.
2 years?
Yes.
There's going to be a massive shortage of nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Because not just the retirement, but the population growth.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and especially now, my deal is towards psych mental health. Yes, we do have, and I was just talking to the brother, and I was trying to convince him to go into mental health, is because we have a lot of shortage of mental health providers right now. Actually, within Kaiser, we have 17 or 18 just within Riverside County positions open, and we don't have anybody to take them. So what Kaiser actually did, and the way that I work right now, what they did is they start putting one of us in primary care modules. So we did, as soon as the doctor actually, they don't have huge depression or anything, but they only have, mild depression, or life is happening, right? Stressors, they lost somebody, grief, anything. So those people are coming straight to us instead of going to psychiatry. So we kind of take that load off. And I think that's working because a lot of people can come back and they just tell you, you know what, you just changed my life. Yes. Yes, please. The difference? Great question. So if you do not have a nursing background, you would go to a PA school. If you are a registered nurse and you're already an RN, you would go to the nurse practitioner school. So there are actually some classes are exactly the same for PAs and NPs. But the only thing, so the PA model is mostly medical model of training. nurse practitioner's model is a little bit more nursing based and a little bit more holistic based. I can tell you that the power within the the politics and all of that is going more towards nurse practitioners than PAs at this point in time. Anybody else? Yes, sir. What is it? Jordan Peterson? No, I haven't. Mm-mm. What kind of, yeah?
He's like a famous clinical psychologist. He's like pretty.
I'm going to have to look him up, yeah. Oh, okay. I lean a lot more towards, family therapy, couples therapy, so I do a lot of, and I'm, doing, actually right now I'm focusing on borderline personality disorder, so I do a lot of DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, and then of course for family therapy, yeah. And Gottman Institute for couples therapy. Yes.
So like my brother and I, we joined the youth group at our Luncheon.
Uh-huh.
And we wanted to start this mentoring program, right? And you talked a little bit about mental health, but like when it comes to basic community, some of the kids that like that need mentoring, they kind of need like it's not the mentoring when like people need to go talk to someone.
Yes.
So like we had a situation where one of the mothers was like, oh, my son's completely fine. We're like,
I had this conversation last night with somebody, yes.
what do you do in those situations? Either you see someone that like, hey, you know what, like, can you speak to my son, or can you talk to him, this situation, and where you feel like, oh, like, this is.
So I'll tell you what my experience have been, right? I'm from Corona, so I constantly consult with the imams in Corona. So number one thing, what's going to happen if somebody has a problem, where are they going to go? To talk to their imam, right? Now, our imams are not mental health professionals, right? Even though we had them trained with mental health first aid so they can recognize. So I also do some classes for interfaith community. I'm the president for Corona Norco Interfaith Association. So we do, and it doesn't have to be our imams, it could be our, the faith, any kind of faith leaders, rabbis, preachers, priests, anybody. People go to their, faith leaders. And then they have no idea what to do. So what we're working on is a resource list, right? So for example, I can tell you the person is going to come in first. Well, what are we going to do? My son is fine. As I said, I had this conversation yesterday, and this kid is having actually hallucinations and delusions, and mom thinks it's just because he's a kid. Well, he's 21 years old. Do you see what I'm saying? So a lot of education that needs to be done for our own community. But we need a person, a mentor, if somebody can do that, so that kid can come in, and then we can teach them or guide them how to talk to their parents. Look, I do need help, or we have the resource things available, and then we can go to the imams. The imams can talk to the parents and say, look, we know you are, but it is a sickness, right? It's a sickness. It's not something, we used to think about the jinns and possessions and all of that, but schizophrenia is a real disease. Huh? No, jinns are there. Oh, jinns are there. And so we actually had a program. We had somebody come in, and I can tell you that was the highest attended program in Corona history. Usually nobody shows, right? It was 300 people that chose because we had a person who was teaching us how to do ruqya to get the jinns off. To get rid of jinns. And everybody came and says, how can do that for our children? Everybody thinks that if a children is misbehaving, he's got, I'm not trying to, minimize the thingy of nazar and jinns and stuff. It has its place. But, Allah gave us a brain as well, right? So, but mentorship, we really need youth mentors that can come in. We also have now a person coming in 5 hours a week to the masjid, right? And so she sits upstairs, and then she says, okay, if anybody wants to come in, you know how full she is? Yeah, nobody wants to come to the masjid. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's possible. We actually tied up with ICNA relief and stuff. So, but nobody wants to, the big phrase, In Urdu, I guess everybody understands Urdu, right? Log kya kahenge, right? So we are so worried about the others, what they're gonna see, but we'd rather have our child, you know, not get them help. So, yeah. And we're really talking about, you know, toxic parents and all of that. But, yes, sir.
If you have a bachelor's degree already, there's some programs that allow you to go straight to MSN. Is there any benefit to doing a BSN before you do MSN, or should you go that route and just go to MSN?
For me, no. Why waste your time getting a BSN, right? You already have your RN. If you don't.
No, so let's say you have a bachelor's in biology,
Okay.
bachelor's in math or something.
Right. So all of those, yeah, all of those programs are going to be 3 years if you want to go 3 years. Cal Baptist University in Riverside has a 15-month program. They get you your RN and your master's. So you really don't need a bachelor's. Do you see what I'm saying? You already have your bachelor's. But what they're going to do is they're going to get you your RN, because you need an RN, get you your hours and your master's degree, all of it in 15 months. A lot of universities have that, but I just know because one of my colleagues just got admitted just Friday, CBU. So.
You know what's crazy is that the difference between the pay for doctors and nurses is decreasing significantly. The difference.
Right.
And you know, for the number of years it takes to get your medical degree and residency and fellowship.
Yes.
And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is
I can tell you, I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but I think I make a little bit more than what a brand new resident, yeah, would come in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So the gap is going, and that's why we have, you know, everybody wants to go into specialty, right? Because yes, once you start going into specialty, then the gap kind of begins, right?
well, I mean, you have to keep in mind, and we didn't talk about it today, but you know, student loans.
Yes.
I mean, by the time a physician graduates, you're at $350,000 to $400,000 in student loans.
Right.
So let alone the fact that the gap is decreasing in the pay.
Right. So then, yeah, I'll put a plug in for Kaiser again. I know I was just talking to the brother. Kaiser opened its own medical school in Pasadena. They're starting, August will be their first starting class. 5 years, 5 starting classes, it's free. So, you know, if you want to work for Kaiser, I mean, you're set, right? But the whole idea of student loans, that's what telling people not to go, right? Yeah. And it's horrible. I mean, I've got student loans coming out of my ears, you know. But my son doesn't want to go for his master's. He wants to work first, and then he wants to go for his master's. Everybody is different. But yeah, free medical school. But nobody in my family wants to go to medical school, so it's fine. Yeah. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. And
Alrighty, guys, and with that being said, that concludes our program for today. I would like to thank everybody out for coming. We technically allocated time for networking afterwards, after our speakers, but I think a lot of that got done during lunch. We still have the location until 5, so you are more than welcome to stay and do some networking at our networking luncheon. And Jazakallah khairan for coming.